Cool. Nice. So you will have opportunities, of course, to ask questions and that sort of thing, but this is going to be just kind of a fun, what I like to call the Yoga Badass Academy camp class. It's going to be a really great way for us just to sort of start the new year. So I'm excited that you're all here. Happy New Year. Super fun. We have a bunch of people in person too, so that's cool. So what we're going to be doing today, and I'll share my screen for folks at home just so that way you can kind of see the schedule of events, but we're going to just do a little bit of intention setting around New Year's. A couple of things that I found interesting when I was doing a little bit of research about this whole, New Year's class, and I want to share those things with you. And then I want to share with you, and I want to share with you what I basically developed to help everybody sort of feel like you're getting a good dose of planning and movement forward with your particular New Year's goals. So without further ado on that one, I am at home going to share my screen because I see that you're all ready and excited. Woohoo! Thumbs up. Ready and excited.
This is my first time. I haven't joined. This is my first time.
Oh, great. That's awesome. Yeah, and put in the chat if this is your first time, because we are going to be doing, and I know folks at home here in the studio, you've all been working with me before, so you all know the drill, but there are some new people coming into the practice today who might be brand new to yoga. I do want to give a quick disclaimer about the yoga asana practice. The physical practice is definitely one that can feel relatively energized at certain points of the time. So if you're starting to feel as though it's too much for you, one of the biggest and best things to do is just give yourself opportunities to sit and relax. Today, we're not going to move and do too many difficult things. Instead, we're just going to use today's practice to sort of warm up and get into movement. But that being said, we are going to be doing the rocket flow today. So you all in here know the rocket. Folks at home, you may or may not know the rocket. I see a couple of folks who do know the rockets at home, so that's kind of fun. But we're going to be working on that because essentially one of the biggest pieces to the puzzle in terms of really creating accountability around your practice is, according to my way of thinking anyway, having a really set routine. So I am going to share my screen as soon as I can find it. There we go. There we go. Excellent. All right. So just a couple of quick things. Again, I'm going to go through a couple of things. Folks in here, you already know me, but I am going to give a quick intro to folks at home who don't know me. I do have a little teenager. She's amazing. She's 17. She's not so little anymore. But that's always been a fun part of my life to be a mama to her. And she really kind of sparked my love for yoga, so to speak. I found yoga well before her, but at the same time, as a mom, and if anyone at home's a parent or even a parent to a fur animal, you can probably attest that sometimes life gets a little crazy. So yoga was definitely a way for me to sort of build in all sorts of ways of healthy living, movement, breath work, meditation, and ways to be calm during kind of, tumultuous, stormy situations. Not that there's too many of those, thankfully, these days, but yoga has really just been such a way of life for me. And so I ask you right now to kind of think about why you've come to yoga, why you might be interested in studying this sort of practice, what really brought you here. And you can just kind of think about that for a moment. Because in moving forward, my biggest goal is to help others also find kind of the joy of yoga and how I found it 20 plus years ago. And I still continue to do that to this day. So I love supporting people and I love bringing that to your lives. And I'm super grateful that you're all here today. So one thing that I do want to talk about today is why we might plan our goals. So 2024, we're here, we're in it. Happy New Year. We are really going to be moving into this stage of kind of intention setting today. But one big piece to the puzzle for me is just really trying to take what I really want to do as my goal set and try to bring it down to a very bite-sized, digestible chunk. And so when I think about goals just in general, I will be asking you what your specific New Year's goals are if you have any. If you don't, that's totally fine. And feel free to jot some things down if you have a journal too, because I'm going to give some interesting prompts here in just a little bit. But not only creating a goal, turning it into bite-sized chunks, but also maintaining a consistent schedule, right? So a lot of my yoga students come and practice with me. They know that they're practicing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for example. They know that they're going to get into practice. They know that they're going to get in a recording of the practice, at the very least, even if they can't join live. The consistency in your schedule is such a key piece if your goals are centered around like the health and wellness. And so I just want to put it out there. Creating a schedule for yourself on today's day one, right? Today's day one of 2024. What sort of a schedule can work for you? And so one of the things that I've been reading about recently is kind of this idea of creating goals. Because, we all sort of understand this concept of the SMART goals, where we're really looking at things through the lens of creating very actionable plans and steps forward. When we're creating actionable plans and steps forward, it's most important that we don't create this huge goal set that is really overwhelming at the end of the day, right? So like if I, for example, have like 10 different goals for 2024, it sounds awesome. It's very romantic, but how am I really going to build those into the schedule? How am I realistically going to make sure that they actually come to fruition? And so thinking about your goal set, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. And then the final piece of the puzzle is journaling about it. And I'm gonna stress this a little bit today. Like actually journaling about your goals is such a big way for us to create more achievable outcomes. Because if we just don't really check in with ourselves, if we don't journal about it, if we don't have kind of a checkpoint for ourselves, it becomes really difficult to stick to our plan. So we could put stuff on the calendar all we want all day long. We can plan out the entire year, but if we don't actually give ourselves checkpoints by way of going back into what our plans were and journaling about it to some degree, and not just, with objection or objective goal set, but much more like, I like the subjective piece on this because we can actually bring in how are we feeling about these goals? What has worked? What has worked or has not worked? How can we move forward with these goals so that way we can keep kind of the eye on the prize, but continuously reformulate and recheck and just keep checking in with ourselves. So I love the journaling about the outcomes that we're hoping for or outcomes that we don't want to have happen. Okay. So yes, definitely if you're at home and you're seeing this, the stuff on my screen, go ahead and take a picture of it if you're not journaling, because it's really awesome stuff. Okay, so one thing that I found, I was doing a bunch of research over the last month, and I actually thought this was kind of interesting, that the #1 New Year's resolution for 2024 is to increase our health and fitness. Okay, isn't that isn't that the New Year's resolution every single year? So that's what I really thought, right? So I started doing a little bit more research on that. And of course, during the COVID years, those goals fell away for most people. In fact, for most people during the COVID years, the #1 resolution centered more around mental health and just trying to maintain our inner states of peace, as well as cultivating community because we had none. So, when I think about that, we have to, as human beings, kind of ebb and flow, of course, by creating goals around mental health, but also goals around physical and emotional health, because we are holistic human beings. But this year, the pendulum has swung back in the direction of health and fitness as our #1, and specifically getting stronger. So I thought that that was really interesting. And I've actually talked to a number of students who have reiterated the same exact thing, that people are just like, this year, I want to be stronger because we've spent so many years sitting and being sedentary. Okay. And if you're at home, like I didn't do that, well, you're probably an anomaly because I even did that. It was really easy for me to not go for a walk because we had everything that we needed in front of our computer. So here we are in 2024. So what I'm going to ask you to do right now, and if you don't have a journal, that's totally fine, but just sort of start to think about and or journal what your health and fitness goal looks and feels like for you in 2024. Let's just take about a minute or so, think about it. And folks at home, you can certainly type it in the chat too, because I can bring it into the picture. And I think, the emphasis on what does it feel like for you is going to be a big piece to this puzzle, because for me, if I can't get my feeling into or my emotional status into the goal set, then it feels very objectionable. It feels too far away. It feels too pie in the sky. So I actually need to really connect to it. So how do you connect to your feelings of what you want to have happen? And then to take it one step deeper, I'm going to give you a little bit more. I'm going to just kind of pull out a little bit more. To get even more specific, you can write in your journal, or you can think to yourself, by the end of 2024, I will, and then fill in the blank. So just get really specific. And again, it's totally cool if you're not journaling. We're just thinking, we're just setting intentions, we're just looking ahead. Right. And so I was reading this excerpt a few days ago. I'm actually studying to kind of continue with nutrition coaching certification. And so I'm really working on, looking at goal setting and looking at how we can do things in a way that's more holistic. And when this particular question was posed to, hundreds of individuals, this by the end of this particular year, I will, and fill in the blank question, so many people had these amazing goals, and it was so awesome to hear all of these beautiful things that people had connected to. But when push came to shove, by the end of that year, a very, very small statistic, like 5% of people actually finished those goals. So now, because of that piece, what I want to ask you to do is quickly just think to yourself how you might choose one small piece to that goal set that you just thought of, one small piece. And instead of by the end of 2024, think to yourself, by the end of January 31st, this month, I will, and then fill in the blank there. And the final piece here, I'm going to give you two more questions. Folks at home, you can see that there's 4 posted, but I'm going to give you 2 of the 4. How would it make you feel to finally have succeeded in the small goal that you just wrote down for yourself? How will it make you feel? And the second part to that is, who will it impact if you don't achieve this goal? Maybe there's external folks, maybe not, but who might it impact if you don't achieve this goal? Awesome. So when I was asked that particular question, who would it impact if I don't achieve my specific goals? I immediately went to my daughter. I immediately went to my 17-year-old and of course my partner, because for me, it feels like the goals that I set for myself have everything to do with the people around me. Now, whether or not that's true for you all is a whole different thing. But for me, that has always been such a launching point for all the goal sets that I've had to sort of look at for myself. So when you think about that, I don't want it to bum you out, because I know the initial response from me was, oh my gosh, I'm going to let everybody down. And that just felt terrible. So I don't want it to bum you out. Instead, we can take a look at this through the yogic lens and really take the step back for a moment and just know to yourself right now that this is a goal to work towards. This is not necessarily a goal you're going to achieve in one day, right? This is not something that we're going to put all of our, faith and hope and stock into and be really upset with ourselves if we don't achieve it. But the purpose today is to just acknowledge it and set the intention. So what we're going to do now is, if you do have journals, you can put them aside for a moment, because we're going to take just a couple of minutes in pranayama and meditation to cultivate this intention. So whatever you just wrote, whatever you just thought, whatever you just brought up for yourself, get sort of comfortable in a seat, and feel free to sit in a chair if you're at home, if that's more comfortable. Maybe sit up on a pillow, yoga bolsters, yoga blocks, that sort of thing. And as we sit upright, let's just work that nice alignment up the spine, lifting up through the crown of the head. You can start to close the eyes if that feels better for you. Just being a witness of your own breathing. Not so controlled in the moment, but rather just witnessing, just noticing. How does it feel to move the breath inward and outward over the rims of the nostrils? How does it feel to sit up nice and tall? Maybe bringing the ears over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips. How does it feel to relax your shoulders? And any other residual tension, so that we can start the new year off in a beautiful, balanced, and as I like to call, badass way. And just bringing to mind the intentions that you journaled about, your goals. Noticing where they live in the body. Do they carry weight? Do they carry tension, resistance, blockage? Just notice. And how would it feel if you were able to achieve your goal? Sit with it. Breathe with it. Let the tension melt away. Maybe even imagining what it feels like on the other side of this goal. You've already climbed the mountain. You're there. What does that feel like? And just taking the next full minute to sit with that feeling. And if it calls you to enter into a nice, even ujjayi breath, maybe starting to constrict the back of the throat and just letting the calming sensation of the ha sound resonate. If you're not familiar with ujjayi, it's much like fogging an imaginary mirror directly in front of the face, but with the mouth closed. And just allowing the centered sensations to make their way in. Taking about 5 more rounds of breath. Landing completely into your intentions for 2024. When you're through, you can go ahead, if your eyes are closed, just lifting your eyelids. We're going to make our way into our yoga asana practice. So we'll settle first into a child's pose. I know it's not really in the rocket, but that's okay. It's a nice, easy way to begin, start of the year. Child's pose, I'll make sure that the camera is on me so that way folks at home can see if you're not familiar with the different postures. And if you are familiar with the postures, you can head in. And I love child's pose for so many reasons. Reason number one of my teachers said to me once, if you're not in child's pose at least once during your practice, you're probably not really practicing yoga. Instead, you're probably practicing pushing and trying to make things happen instead of letting things go. And just getting into your breathing. Nice. However your yogic breathing happens for you is great. Sorry, you're getting a really awesome picture of my, But here in this initial stage, just allowing your breath to fill the upper back. Allowing the breath to open into the space in your armpits. And if at any time child's pose is not appropriate for you, that's also a part of the practice. What do you need to do to create a greater state of accessibility? If you're here and you'd love to walk the arms over to the right, let's just take that on. And just noticing the breathing into the space underneath your left rib cage. We'll walk the hands over to your left. Breathe now into the space of the right rib cage. If you're in that child's pose, you can walk the hands back to the center. We're going to come on up to table pose, and we'll make our way to some cat and cow just to move Let's inhale, lift the tail, lift the chin upward, and exhale, round into your back, chin toward chest. And again, inhale, just slowly rolling open, and exhale, round in. Let's take a few more. Inhale, just feeling your breathing. And exhale, push the ground away. And inhale, open up across the collarbones. And exhale, stretch up between your shoulder blades. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Coming back to center, we're simply going to take your right hand and flip it over. At any time during your practice, if you need a little wrist love, it's a good idea to stop, drop, and just give your wrists a quick stretch, especially if you're not used to being on your hands. You can spin the hands so the fingers point back toward the knees. I'm still on the back of my hand, not putting pressure on the hand, I'm just giving it a stretch. Good, let's switch hands. Please make sure the first palm is down first. I have seen people do both hands at the same time. It does not work for me. It might work for you. Turn that hand so the fingers point back toward the knee. Good. And then returning that palm flat to the floor, and look at your fingers, just stretch out the distance between each one as much as you can, and we'll flip over the toes. We are going to go to downward dog, so we'll lift through the hips. Now listen, if your downward dog is not so downward dog-ish, feel free to stay in a table pose, totally fine. Okay? If you are in a downward dog or something different, maybe table, just move around a little bit. Notice how it feels. Sweeping out the debris of 2023. Again, continuously opening up the fingers just to take up a lot of real estate on the floor. Working to point the sit bones upward toward the ceiling. We'll go ahead and look forward. Let's walk on up to our hands. Let's step the feet out about hips width distance. We'll bend the knees, drop the belly right onto the thighs, and grab a hold of elbows below the crown. And as you're here, just noticing, we call this ragdoll. Let everything be loose. But do connect to the feet, the 4 points in the feet. Just imagining the feet like they're rectangles. And pushing to the inner and outer toe mounds and inner and outer heels evenly. And maybe swaying the torso side to side as everything hangs. Awesome. Let's bring your hands to your shins and we'll take an inhale to lift halfway, look forward and fold, exhale. Soften the knees to come on up to stand. Inhale, let's take the arms to the sky and exhale the arms by your sides. Good, so what I'm gonna have us do from here is just step your feet in a little bit closer toward each other. They can be directly underneath the hips or closer so the big toes connect, up to you, but we're gonna go to sun salutation, so let's do it. Inhale, let's lift and stretch upward. And exhale, let's fold forward. Feel free to soften those knees. Inhale, pick it up halfway, look forward. Fold, exhale, we'll step back to your plank. Drop the knees as needed, please. Inhale, and exhale, drop down halfway or all the way. Okay. Inhale, let's pull on through forward, upward dog, just stretching chest. And exhale, lifting back to downward dog. Feel free to drop to table pose if that's a better option. Just breathing here. Noticing your downward dog or table pose, if that's your case today. Move it around. Paddle it out. I'll give lots of modifications for the Surya Namaskar as a sun salutation. So if this first cycle is tough, we're going to level it down a little bit. So let's go ahead and look forward. We'll step up to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. And inhale, let's come all the way up and stretch, arms to the sky. Exhale, the arms by your sides. Let's do that again. If you want to keep leveling it up, that's totally fine. If you're cool to level it down, I'm going to do that. Okay, let's inhale, pick it back up. And exhale, let's fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, push the chest forward. Fold, exhale, step back one leg at a time to your plank. Drop the knees as needed. Inhale and exhale, lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into cobra or upward dog. You can stay nice and low if you need. And exhale, table to downward dog. Good, just breathing here. Maybe staying in table pose and repeating that cat and cow. Pushing the ground away with the space between the index fingers and thumbs. And next, inhale, rise your heels. Exhale, look forward, step or jump on up to the top of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale, look up, and fold, exhale. Inhale, let's rise, stretch arms high. Exhale, arms by your side. Let's do it again. Inhale, stretch it back up. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold, step or jump back, and use your core to lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into your back bend of choice. Don't feel like you have to go really high here. I know we're here a few extra rounds of breath. It's cool. What's going on with your fingertips? Push through them. And then lift into your downward dog. Breathing here. So I like to define yoga badassery while we're here right now in this downward dog as kind of the space between the strength and the ease. And that would be yoga too. So just kind of considering your own definition of yoga. What does it mean for you? For me, it truly means balance. Finding the ease amongst the effort. Going ahead, let's look forward, step or jump on up to the top. Lift halfway, inhale, and exhale, fold. Inhale, let's come on up, really push into the feet to stretch. And exhale, arms by your side. Let's just do one more together. Inhale, lift, and fold, breath out. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold, step or jump back, lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into back bend of choice. Just bring those shoulder blades together. Good, downward dog, exhale, really nice. Open your fingers and tilt your tailbone upward for a moment. And then maybe notice how it feels to tilt your tailbone downward, collecting more into your core. Continuously shifting the hips back over the heels. Yeah, good. And let's go ahead and look forward. You can step or jump on up to the top. Halfway lift, breath in, and exhale, fold. Inhale, let's come all the way up, stretch. And exhale the arms by your side. So we're going to take sun salutations. Maybe we're going to go kind of quick. If I'm too fast for you, slow it down, okay? Do your yoga. Find your chair pose. Inhale. And exhale, let's bow forward, straighten the legs. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold, step or jump back. Lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into the back bend of your choice. Downward dog, exhale. Step the right foot forward between the hands. Just take a moment to ground into the feet. And inhale, rise up. Then exhale, we'll take the hands back to the floor. Step back and lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale, open into your back bend of choice. Down dog, exhale. Left foot steps forward, same thing other side. Take a moment to find it. Inhale, come up. And exhale, land the hands, step back. Use your core and lower. Inhale, open the back bend of choice. Downward dog, exhale. Just letting the breath be resonant. Coming back to an easy state of breathing. Slow inhales to exhales. And feel free to go to a child's pose or table pose for cat and cow. Good. Going ahead, looking forward, make your way back up to the top of your mat. Lift halfway, breath in, and fold, breath out. Bend your knees, come back up to chair pose. Inhale and exhale, standing, arms by your side. Let's do it again. Inhale, find your chair. Squeeze knees together, full breath out. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold, step or jump back, lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into your back bend of choice. Downward facing, exhale. Good. Right foot steps forward, ground into your feet to rise up into lunge. And exhale, take the hands down. Step back and lower. Inhale into your back bend of choice. Downward dog, exhale. Left foot forward, other side. Inhale, come up. And exhale, land the hands. Step back and lower. Inhale, open to back bend. Downward dog, exhale. This could be a child's pose. This could be a cat and cow. Just breathe. Reconnect to your breath. The patterns that come in and out. Relax your shoulders wherever you're at. Relax the beating heart. Good. From here, we'll go ahead and look forward. Come back up to the top of your mat. Halfway rise. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees. Come back to chair pose. Inhale. And exhale, arms by your side. That's great. So pretty warm. See how you feel. We're going to step the feet out about hips width distance. Actually, sorry, bring the feet back in together. We're going to chair pose. We're doing the rocket. Here we go. Find your chair pose. I was going to take you into Ashtanga. Let's not. Finding your way into your chair pose. And feel free to have the arms apart. You do not have to have your palms together. But just finding a way where you can sit back into your heels enough to lift and spread the toes. Squeezing the thighs. Lifting the rib cage up. Stay with this chair. We're going to go a little deeper. Sit back, lean forward with the arms. Try to draw the low belly in. Focus on core support. Letting the thighs squeeze together. If it's too much for the legs, you can straighten the legs, no problem. Next breath in and breath out. Let's fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold. We're going to step the feet out about max width distance and drop into a yoga squat. Good. So this is crow pose time. Some of you know crow pose. You can do crow pose if you want. Otherwise, you can just stay right in the squat. If it's too deep, you can come up a little bit higher. No problem. See if you can take 5 rounds of breath in your choice. Either crow pose, yoga squat, or a higher bit of a squat. Just trying to get into the inner thighs a little bit. And noticing your own state of balance, your own state of yoga. Good. Once you've taken your 5 rounds of breath, you can step or jump it on back to your plank. Remember to push to your fingertips. It's super important. And lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into your back bend. And downward dog, exhale. Good, so we are going to do the standing postures of the rocket. They're super fun. So just tell yourselves you're going to have the most amazing time. Let's step forward with the right foot. We're going to rise on up to a lunge. So feel free to drop your back heel to the floor as needed. Breathing. Steadying your gaze point. Relaxing the shoulders. Lifting through the chest. And take a big inhale here. And we're going to open it up to warrior 2. So ground your back heel. I'm just going to turn around so I can see everybody. Okay. Relax those shoulders again. Lifting through the heart. Good. Stretching out across the collarbones. Good. We're going to bind the hands behind your back. So inhale first and exhale. Interlace fingers or grab a wrist. And it's just opening up across the chest. Take a breath in. And we'll fold forward into your left on your breath out. Just notice your legs. Notice your shoulders. If this is too tight behind you, you can always put a sock between your hands. You can put a yoga strap between your hands if that's better. It's a really great sequence, and we're going to be working on it throughout the 7-week Yoga Badass program. So let's come up halfway. Inhale And exhale, release the hands for extended side angle. You can put the elbow on the thigh or that right hand on the floor. But just really stretch into the left side of your body. Yes, good. Lift it up past the ear. Maybe drop down to the hips a little more. Just notice your own flexibility and strength where they meet. And last inhale. Look down on your exhale and come back up to your warrior two. Breath in, we'll straighten your front leg. Breath out, wiggle back foot in. Okay, so traditional, I'm going to give you this air quotes, about 1 meter between the heels, which, might be about from the distance of your doorknob to the floor. Okay, take an inhale. Exhale, lean into the right leg. Let the right hand fly into the shin or the ankle or the big toe. Just allowing everything to push down as you lift up. Slowing down breath. Drawing in through low belly. Push in the front big toe. And we're going to go to standing half moon balance. So prepare your brain. Okay, look down. Bend your right knee, wiggle forward. We're going to pick up the back leg. If you need to have your hand on a wall or a chair or something else, that's totally fine. But just see about lifting and opening and spreading out the toes above you. Asking the outer hips to find a lot of strength. And asking the side waist to feel strong. We're going to go to standing split. So inhale, exhale, both hands to the your upper leg a little bit more. See if you can point your toes up there. Kind of fun. This standing split is terrible for you. I totally understand. It's not my favorite either, but it's a really great strengthener. So just letting your glutes feel strong. Let's walk the hands forward, breath in and breath out. We're going to bring the right hand to your hip. Good, keep that leg up there if you can. Inhale, exhale, turn open to your right. So we're twisting in this balancing posture. Noticing how it feels to push your standing foot. Lift up a little bit more through lifted fingertips. Open up across the chest. I know we're still here. Take a big breath in. Breath out, both hands to the floor. Toe ball heel, lifted foot to the floor. So we're going to go to revolve triangle pose. I'm just going to shimmy this way. So we're going to take left hand to the floor now to twist. Open to the right. And you might have your left hand on a block. Because this is actually a pretty difficult posture for most students. But just see if you can lift your chest as you twist open. Good. You can always soften your front knee quite a bit as needed. Good. Big inhale. Exhale, both hands to the floor. So listen, we're going to lift your back foot up, step it back, come back up to a crescent lunge. How's that front leg feeling? Mine is on fire. I don't know about you. The back. Yeah, your hamstring. The hamstring is like, ooh. We're going to take a twist. So inhale, exhale, lean forward and twist to your right. Now this is where it could get a little tricky. I've put my elbow on the outer thigh. And I'm working on slowing down my breathing. So just notice your breath here. Notice the balance, even if it doesn't feel like you have a lot of balance. Good, take a last inhale, lift a little more. Exhale the hands to the floor. You could handstand your way back if you want, or just step back to your plank. Okay. We'll meet in a downward dog. Feel free to skip the whole chaturanga up dog to down dog thing. Maybe you're playing with some inversions. So once you've landed back in your downward facing dog, just take a moment to assess how that process felt for the right side of the body. Maybe noticing discrepancies between right and left. And without getting too carried away or caught up in all the things, let's just go ahead and step your left foot forward. We're going to repeat the process on the other side. So if your back heel is lifted, it's a little more of a balance challenge, so just notice. Dropping into the hips. Lifting upward through the heart. Steadying your gaze point so it's not floating all over the place, giving you a little bit more reason to fall over. So really keep your gaze point steady. We'll take a big inhale to lift the chest, and we'll open to your warrior two on your exhale. So a lateral stretch. Pushing through the outer edge of your back foot. Relaxing the shoulders. Just letting your legs feel what's happening right here. Without assigning too many goals on these particular postures. Instead, just asking the body to enjoy the journey. Asking the brain to enjoy the path. We'll bind the hands behind the back. Inhale. Exhale, interlace fingers. Inhale, open across chest. Exhale, fold forward and to the right. See if you can let your head dangle. Inhale, come up about halfway. Exhale, release the hands. You can take the elbow to the thigh if you want, or the left hand to the floor for extended side angle. And we're just stretching right side of the body now. Really focused in on strengthening the legs. Engaging the legs as you can, engaging the core as you can, and reaching with all of your might. Good. Last breath in. Exhale, look down. Come back up to your warrior two. Inhale, we'll straighten your front leg. Exhale, wiggle back foot in a few notches. Again, a meter width-ish between your heels is typically a good idea. Inhale. Exhale, lean into left leg. So typically the legs are straight for triangle posture, but feel free to soften that left knee as much as needed. But do try to engage your thighs. Lifting through the chest. Turning it all open. Noticing how it feels to engage or disengage your core. The last inhale here. Exhale, look down. Let's bend your left knee a whole lot to pick up your back leg. So if this one's really challenging for you, please know you're not alone. A lot of my students have to do this on a wall. Literally, you could walk over to a wall and just lean against it with your leg up. Kind of fun. Wherever you're at, try to open the toes. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's beautiful. We're going to make our way to the standing split. So inhale, exhale, both hands down. Lift that upper leg and ask your booty to do a little bit of work. Try to slow down the breathing. Notice if there's pain. If you listen, if there's pain, and this is not a good thing for you, please go into your yoga. Let's walk those hands forward. Right hand stays on the floor. Left arm spins open to twist. Good, last inhale here. Exhale, both hands to the floor. Let's toe ball heel, lifted foot back. We're going to revolve your triangle pose. Take the right hand to the floor and spin the left arm open to the sky. Noticing how it feels to push down into the feet. How does it feel to lift the chest a little bit higher? How does it feel to breathe into this twist? Last inhale. Exhale the hands to the floor. Pick up your back foot, step it back. Come back up to a crescent lunge. How's front thigh feeling? If we weren't warm before, we're probably warm now. Let's bring the palms together in front of the chest. Inhale. Exhale, lean and twist to your left. Palms together will provide a little bit more of a twist. So just noticing if you can drop the hips. Activate your back leg. Lift the chest a little bit higher. Good, last inhale. Exhale, release the hands to the floor. Make your way back to your vinyasa however you want to. In the yogic world, vinyasa is an up dog, chaturanga, which is a push-up, up dog to down dog, but feel free to skip it. A lot of my students like cat and cow from your table pose. Good. So let's go ahead and look forward. Let's walk on up to the top of the mat. And we'll inhale, lift halfway, and exhale, fold. Come on up to stand, inhale, stretch, and exhale, arms by your sides. Good, so we're gonna do a little bit of hip work from here. Let's step back with your right foot, and we'll parallel the feet. So take a quarter turn to your right, okay? So just look down at your feet. We typically do wanna have the big toes pointing inwards slightly at an angle toward each other. And then we'll have the hands on the hips. Let's inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, let's fold. Taking the hands to the floor. Inhale, look forward, and exhale, fold in a little bit more. You can push the hands into the floor and lift up into an inversion if that's in your practice. Or just stay right here, asking the thighs to engage. Specifically the quadriceps if you're still in this wide leg forward fold. You're upside down, slowly come all the way out. Very nice. Then we'll inhale, walk the hands forward, look forward, and exhale. We're gonna drop the knees down and head into a frog pose. So this one, pose of the century. Let's just go ahead and drop in. So typically the inner knees are on the floor. Some of my students find this really challenging. If this is very, very challenging for you, you can sit up in a crisscross applesauce and just forward fold that way. This one is definitely a place for us to reflect. Maybe there's some things happening, some things in the body, some things in the mind. Maybe close the eyes and just settle into the breath once again. Feeling that soft whisper as you constrict the back of the throat. About 5 more rounds of breath in this frog pose. Letting everything relax. We'll start to bring the hands underneath your shoulders, push up through straight arms, slowly wiggle the knees in toward each other. And we're going to turn to the front edge of the mat. We're going to step forward with the right leg. And we're going to head into a nice little lunge. So my back knee is on the floor. If that's problematic for you, you can always pick up your back knee a little bit or put something underneath your back knee. Okay. So we're here for a few rounds of breath. Just asking the left hip flexors to relax. Left quadriceps to relax. Arm options, arms can lift to the sky. You could take the hands behind the head. I'm gonna leave that part up to you, but just see if you can lift the rib cage away from your low back. You don't wanna compress the low back. Instead, slowly breathing across the heart. Slowly breathing into the front of your left hip. Noticing how it feels to be here just for a few more cycles of breathing. And we'll inhale, lift the arms if they're not, and exhale, take the hands to frame your front leg. So we're gonna rock back so your front leg straightens. Okay, so this is half splits. The other option, if your back knee is bothering you, is just to come up to both feet flat, straight legs, and forward fold into the front leg. So that's a good option. Wherever you're at, take a nice inhale and exhale, fold. And this is a really great spot to not get caught up in the mental chatter. Don't let that monkey mind tell you what you should be doing. Instead, listening very carefully to the physicality, listening to what the body wants. How does this feel? Is there a way to move a little bit deeper? Is there a way to breathe a little bit more? From here, let's inhale to look up and exhale. You can rebend your front knee and we're going to switch legs. So just take your time to switch the left leg forward. Doesn't have to be graceful. And again, accommodate your back knee as needed. Okay. If you need something under there, put a little pillow or a few padded towels underneath. So once you've gotten to a place where you're like, okay, I think I can sustain this, breathe the rib cage upward and rise the arms to wherever you need. So the yoga here is to find the balance, not necessarily the physical balance, although that's really important too, but rather finding the ease amongst the effort. Where is there effort? And how can we build in the ease? We'll come out just slowly. Inhale, rise the arms up if they're not, and exhale, you can take the hands to the floor, rock it back to straight front leg. Again, don't be ashamed if you have to stand up on both feet here. It's actually pretty much the same posture if you're up on both legs, and just forward folding. Do the accommodations because everyone's bodies are different. Wherever you're at, take that big inhale to lift the chest forward and exhale, fold. And just relaxing, maybe even closing the eyes. If you were out dancing late last night, these probably feel pretty awesome. Noticing how this feels without getting too subjective. Instead, just witnessing the emotions as they arise. And just letting them fall away. Making all the accommodations necessary to maintain the ease amongst the effort. And then we'll inhale to look up and exhale. Rebend your front knee. We are going to step back for a plank and we are going to lower all the way down to the belly. And from here, we're going to take the arms back by your hips. And lift the legs. You can lift the arms. You can interlace fingers if you'd like. But let's just breathe as we point through those toes, lifting the chest up and forward. Push the pelvis into the earth. And last inhale here and exhale, release. Let's take the hands underneath your shoulders. Come on up to table on your breath in. We're just going to do a quick child's pose, breath out, sitting back. This is a nice counter stretch. The yoga here is to balance. As we increase our range of motion, our flexibility, our stability, and our strength, we can go a little deeper. We can do things a little bit more, with a little bit more vigor, but just for today, find your breathing. I am going to offer a vinyasa from here. So if you want to, you can make your way back to plank, lower down halfway or all the way, upward dog to downward dog. We are going to meet at the front edge of our mat in a seat. So make your way forward however you need to get there. Okay. So in this seat, we're going to take a forward fold. So if you need to sit up on some things, feel free to put a pillow underneath your bum. Take an inhale, lift up, and exhale, fold forward. Just relaxing in your fold. Not so concerned about how far down you can get, but rather how relaxed can you become? Noticing the states of effort required to maintain these postures. And just riding the line. Finding the edge. We'll take the next inhale to look up. And exhale, release it. Good. So we're going to make our way into a Janu Shirshasana, taking the right knee out to the side. And I promise some core work we're going to get there from. Let's inhale, lift the chest up, and exhale, fold into the left leg. So as we fold into the left leg, see if you can take your bent knee and just point it over to the right. And what this does is it actually pretty effectively gets into your low back. And so many of us have low back issues. This particular stretch is really good if you have low back problems. So just allowing your QL muscles, quadriceps bortum, the low lumbar, right hand side stretch. And let's inhale to come on up and exhale to switch legs. Just right side, left side, keeping it balanced. Big inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold into right leg. And again, if you do so, take that bent knee and point it over to the left a little bit more. Just notice how that feels. Constantly checking in with the physicality. And just letting every breath be a reset. Noticing where the brain goes, the constant loops, the cycles from within. And can we redirect the attention back to the breathing? We'll take an inhale to look up and exhale. Let's release it. We're going to take some core work here. So we're going to rock back down onto our elbows with the legs up. So this is, kind of fun rocket core work. Folks at home, if you've never done this stuff before, this is tough. So don't be alarmed if your core starts to burn. We're going to point and flex the lifted feet. Here we go for 5, 4, lift the chest, 3, 2, and 1, taking the right leg to hover off the floor. Let's point and flex the feet. Lift the chest for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take the right leg up. Inhale. Exhale, left leg to hover. We'll point and flex once again for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, left leg high, inhale, exhale, both legs just to about 45 degrees. You can stay right here if you'd like. If it's too much, take the legs up higher. Let's just lift the chest for 5, 4, I had somebody last week tell me I count really slow, so I apologize. 3, I'm trying to go faster. 2, and 1, we're gonna rock on up to our boat pose. So this is where we get really, really fiery in our core. You can always have your feet on the floor. Let's breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2. Good. On 1, we're going to cleanse the slate, release it. Okay. Let's bring the right knee to the chest. We're going to twist. So turning to the right side. And just letting the chest lift up nice and tall. You can use your back hand on the floor, push the hand into the earth to lift the heart a little bit higher. And see if you can bring the twist up into the middle of your back. Looking perhaps behind your back shoulder, just to emphasize the twist all the way up. And next inhale, let's look forward. Exhale, release, and we'll switch legs. Twisting over to the left. Same thing, other side. Finding your balance, lifting upward, and using that lift to twist. Slowing down breathing, noticing how it feels. The next inhale, look forward. Exhale, release. We get to do more core work. Let's lower down onto the elbow. We'll take the legs up. Here we go. Point and flex the feet for 5. 4, lift the chest higher. 3, 2, and 1, right leg hovers. Here we go. Point and flex for 5. Lift the chest. 4, push your low back down to the floor. 3, 2, and 1, right leg up. Inhale. Exhale, left leg hovers. Point and flex for 5. I'm pointing and flexing faster than I'm counting. 4. Yep, I am. 3, 2, and 1, left leg up. Inhale. Exhale, hover the legs, maybe 45 degrees. Push your low back into the floor for 5. Lift the chest. 4, 3, really scoop your belly in. 2, you can always have your toes on the floor. And 1, come on up, find your boat pose. Let's breathe for 5. 4, maybe you can have your toes down. 3, lift the chest. 2, we'll take a vinyasa on you. Let's cross those shins. Inhale, you can lift. Just make your way back to your downward dog. However you need to make your way back is A-okay. Wherever you're at, focus on your breathing. Focusing on the movements. Try not to get so caught up in what might be happening with the brain. Good. And from here, we're going to make our way forward to a seat once again. So step or jump your way through, and we are going to lower down onto our backs. Head into back bends from here. So let's take an easy bridge pose. Let's crawl the feet up toward the bum. Maybe the fingertips touch your heels. And push into the feet. Let's lift the hips. If you're interlacing fingers underneath your body, feel free to go there. But just allowing the chest to expand as you breathe across the collarbones. Good. Last inhale, lift your hips. Exhale, release. Let's come down. We'll take 2 more back bends. If you want to go back there, go to bridge pose again. You can do that. If you want to head to full wheel, you can take your hands by your ears and lift them into that wheel pose. Just choose your option. Please do not jump off the cliff, okay? Your option does not need to be do all the things. Your option today can just be to keep it simple. Wherever you're at, engage your core and lift on up to breathe for 5, 4, 3, just try to slow down your breathing. 2, lift on 1, inhale, and exhale, slowly lower down. Again, we're just gonna keep it simple today. Roll out your wrists if you did full wheel pose, or even if your wrists are bothering you, remember there's always that option. And we're gonna take one more back bend. Feel free to go to the low bridge or lift up a little higher. You could also take the low bridge with one leg to the sky, okay? Up to you. Set it up, find your core, and lift. Let's breathe for 8, 7, don't let that scare you. 6, find your fingertips if you're in wheel. 5, 4, 3, 2, lift on 1, inhale, exhale, lower slowly all the way down. Let's take the legs up to 12 o'clock. Let's take a moment, rising the feet above the heart, slowing down the beating from the inside, slowing down the rhythm. That probably sped up quite a bit during the back bending process. So some of you might want to go to a supine twist, happy baby, or even a seated forward fold a la the Ashtanga practice. Please make your way there however you need to be there. Again, maybe a supine twist on your back, maybe a happy baby, grabbing a hold of the feet or ankles on your back, maybe doing a vinyasa, going into the full Paschimottanasana, the seated forward fold. Just doing the thing that feels fun. And since I keep referring to the state of yoga badassery, it really means to just live in the present moment. Some days doing the full thing feels awesome. Some days rewinding, taking it down 12 notches is a much better option. The more and more we start to connect to that inner balance, that inner feeling, the more badass we actually really are. Good, whenever you're ready, let's come on up to a seat. I want to give you all like at least a full minute to play Yogi's Choice. So some people might work towards inversion, some people might want some more hip openers, some people might just want to sit and breathe. But let's just take a full minute, getting into a thing or 3 things that strike you to complete your practice today. And you can go ahead and begin. Again, if there's kind of uncertainty, you can certainly just sit in a seat, maybe with the eyes closed. Sometimes sitting in a seat with a little forward fold happening is really nice. Going upside down, got a lot of inverters in the room. Do a lot of swapping right out there. That was very controlled. Controlled swapping. Very good. Thanks, Julie. Very good. Yeah. Good. Yeah, we've got some folks at home doing some things that look amazing. Just being with it. What is this thing? What is this thing? We get to the end of our practice. I don't know about you all, but I sometimes have itches to do a variety of things that perhaps were not originally offered during the practice. Good. Good. I got my hand. So whatever you opted for, just making your way into your state of relaxation. Okay? And there's no rush. Some folks are still playing, some people are still doing some things, but we are going to head to that Shavasana, which typically we're lowered down onto our backs in a horizontal position. And again, no rush. And we still have plenty of time in the practice today. But we are going to take a little bit of a yoga nidra together. So once you found your way into a state of horizontality, if that's in fact where you decided to go, maybe just let your feet splay apart from each other. Maybe turn the palms open to receive. Noticing your body, just being aware. Sometimes we have no choice. Sometimes our bodies scream, pay attention. Other times it's a much softer whisper. What is your body saying right now? Noticing if what you intended at the start of this practice is where you've landed now. Maybe the goals you set for yourself at the beginning of our practice today had nothing to do with where we landed, or maybe they had everything to do with where we have come from, where we're at now. In the state of yogic rest, just bring the slow awareness to the toes. The ankles. Letting the muscles relax off the leg bones from calves all the way up to thighs. Noticing the heaviness of the pelvis as it drips into the earth. The lightness of the breathing as it enters and exits the belly. The ease in the lungs as they expand and contract with each breath. And whether or not the heart feels open is absolutely independent of this process. But just witness. Maybe something happened today to let a little light in. Letting the shoulders melt. No more stress, no more tension, entering into 2024. Easier and softer, more receptive, more available for the things that matter. Noticing the tension in the jaw melting. The stress of the mind relaxing. Witnessing your very present state, just in this moment. Feeling breath rolling inward and outward over the rims of the nostrils. Slowing everything down. Connecting once again to the original intention that you set for yourself. The feelings around what it would be like if you achieved your goal. What does that look like? What does that feel like now? Taking 5 more soothing rounds of breath and just get lost there. And with your next inhale, just beginning to bring some soft movement back into the toes and the feet. Fingers curling into the palms. The head softly rocking from side to side. And taking the arms for a longer stretch past the crown of the head, just pushing out through toes and fingers and inviting in your 2024. Reawakening right here, perhaps for the first time today. We'll draw the knees toward the chest, use your core, a little squeeze, hugging inward. And land over onto the right side and just pause for a moment on your right side. And if you've come up, that's totally fine, but just take a moment to relax. And if you're still on the floor, over exposing the left side of your bodies, just breathing in and out through the left nostril. If you sat up, just see what happens if you bring your awareness to the left nostril. We are going to come on up to a seat, so take your time to rise. And once again, in this upright seat, bringing the ears over the shoulders and the shoulders over the hips. Might we bow inward in a little bit of gratitude today, just for offering ourselves this time to explore, to land, to breathe, and to invite in the new year. We will take one cycle of Om just to close our practice. If you're not participating in that, that's totally fine. If you are participating, inhale. Om. And thank you all so very much for being here today. Namaste. Namaste. Everyone, thanks so much. Couple of things. Everyone in attendance gets a free private session with me. So I'm gonna put into awesome. I'm so glad. Thanks, Andrea. So good to see you. I'm gonna put into the chat the private session. I'm sorry, I'm like trying to talk and do like 5 things at the same time. It's so funny when that happens, right? I'm going to put into the chat the link to get yourself signed up for the private sessions. Let me do that now. And folks in here, I will give you all the link to. There's the link. Oops, hang on. I am pressing all sorts of wrong buttons here. Here we go. That's for the private session. Andrea, you weren't the only one. I had someone else say it this week too. About the slow count. I do count kind of slow. You're so welcome. Definitely sign up for that private session. I'm so glad that you're all here. Sign up for the 7-week Yoga Badass program. It starts on Saturday. We're going to be doing stuff like this. We're going to keep working on things. We're going to keep growing. We're going to keep moving. We're going to keep breathing. We're going to keep ourselves accountable. Let me know if I can help you out with anything, and I'll stick around if anybody has any thoughts. Okay. Thanks everybody so much for being here. Happy New Year. You're welcome. I'm gonna